Welcome to another episode of What You Didn't Know. My name is Dr. David Orman here at C3 Wellness, and we're here with our friend, extraordinary massage therapist, Roland. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank
Yeah.
you. Pleasure to be here this morning.
Good. Good weekend?
Wonderful weekend. Very restful.
We're going to have a topic I bet you no one else in the entire health industry has ever had, and it is about PTSD and wolves. There's a combination for you.
Interesting.
There is a wolf preserve about 5 hours from here. My wife and I had the great pleasure of going there again. And so we have about a dozen creatures that are about anywhere from 120 to about 160 pounds. They're big, they're strong. Human bite is about 120 pounds per square inch. Pit bull's about 280. Wolves are about 450. So if they bit, they would disintegrate.
Yeah.
They don't. Instead, they act as if they are 3-year-old, 2-year-old Labrador retrievers. And you pet them and you play with them and they give you their belly and they trust you and you trust them. And it's kind of interesting because the area when you drive in, it's an open space and then it's very wooded where the wolves are. And it is quiet where you want to talk like this. You don't want to disturb the area. It is pure yin. And I think if I had my magic wand, I would love to bring 10, 15 people who are suffering from PTSD or anxiety or depression or anything along those lines to that particular area. And I'm sure you, being in the military, saw PTSD and other types of friends and colleagues suffering from that.
Yes, I surely have.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think there are certain things where the human spirit is not meant to see. And when it sees it, it scars the soul.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And you go to a place like this, and there is such quiet and calm and beauty, and you interact with these magnificent creatures that could rip you to smithereens, but instead welcome you. It is, to me, the opposite of PTSD.
Yeah.
It's having an experience that heals the soul in a way that few things can.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I would love to have something like that. And we've well, minus the wolves, we've kind of set up a scenario here and at the other facility where it's quiet, it's calm, and we do our treatment.
Okay.
And part of it is the treatment that we do, the massage, the acupuncture, but part of it is being in that calm, that quiet, that still environment.
Makes you feel safe and welcoming, and yeah.
Safe and welcoming. And we live in such a loud and increasingly loud world.
Yes.
And we can kind of get our little cave of sorts and be quiet and be still. That's when I think that's half the healing. You may have had experiences with that as well.
Yeah. I think when people experience trauma, it's like they relive it over and over, over and over, and they have nowhere to escape, nowhere to go for healing. But healing is in the mind. But most people need help. So back to the wolves, I'm wondering if they're out of their environment, how would they react?
Well, they set it up where their environment there is identical or as identical as possible to their natural environment. So in other words, they don't ask them to, I don't know, sit or roll over and then give them food like you would a dog. How they act is how they act in the wild and as close to as possible as there. And where I see a couple of medicinal healing characteristics of them is they're never, you hear the lone wolf.
Yeah.
There's never a lone wolf. They're always in packs. There's
Always.
always in group. They always have a support network.
And then we always hear how dangerous they are.
Well, if you decide to corner them and then you try to pet them, maybe not your best idea. Well, their sense of smell is incredible. They will smell things literally a mile away,
Mm,
and they know that humans are predatory. So if they
mm,
smell a human, they will always run. 100% of the time, they will run.
mm.
The only time you ever see them around people is if there are animals there, and they don't know that the person is there, and they're hunting,
Oh,
and so
so
then they'll be there.
so how do they allow humans to come into their environment and not be threatened?
Well, they raise them from about 8 or 9 days old, and so
Okay,
they get used to it. And they get used to
okay.
generational, and so they're used to people. They're used to being pet. They're used to getting they're used to getting what they want.
Yeah.
Their characteristics are they're models in some ways.
Mm.
When if you would pet them behind the ear, and they don't want that, they want their belly. They will take their elbow, I guess it's an elbow, I don't know what
Yeah.
it is, one of their legs, and move them. So
Your hand can
yeah,
go where they want it to go.
yeah, they ask
Incredible.
for what they want. They
Really?
don't hint, they don't, well, sort of maybe imply what I want, this is what I want.
Oh,
They ask for it.
wow.
Another interesting thing is depending on the time of year and depending on the year, there'll be anywhere from 25 to 50 wolves. And on average, they spend, you think your Publix bill is big? 5,000 pounds of meat a month.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is they don't eat every day. They only eat when they are hungry. And
Mm.
when they are done, they will take a little bit of food and they'll hide it. But
Places.
they won't, when they're done, they're done.
Mm.
And one of the guides said something interesting. He said they have that instinct to address issues. So, for example, if they know that there's something in a bone that they need, they will only chew on the bone or eat the bone, but they won't eat the meat because they know they need something that's in that bone, whatever the mineral or trace mineral, whatever the
Oh,
case is.
wow.
And they're so in tune with their bodies.
Yeah.
And we humans do have that characteristic,
Mm.
but we're so surrounded by noise, both inside and outside, and there's often a disconnect with our bodies, and
Yeah.
we often replace the awareness of my body needs with a craving or compulsion or an addiction.
Mm.
There are times when this may sound a little strange when you take something that's not particularly healthy, such as potato chips,
Yeah.
and you can turn that into medicine.
Mm.
How? You're on a 12-hour flight. You get dehydrated. You
Mm.
need something quick,
Yeah.
and nothing healthy is around. Potato chips and water can do the trick.
Keep you
Yeah.
survive.
Yes, yeah. And so there is that element of what the body knows if you give it the opportunity.
It will
Yeah. And you
work.
watch the wolves, and none of them are overweight, and they're all
Mm.
active,
Wow.
but they'll play. And when they're done playing because they're done or they're bored or it's too hot, they will go lay down. And they'll lay down in the sun sometimes, they'll lay down in the shade sometimes.
They know what
There's
they
always
want
that element of balance.
in their lives.
Yeah.
Wow. So with humans, it's hard for us to be able to accomplish that. Like you said, the noise is a big distraction for us. And being in the military and people seeing and being involved in so much trauma, it makes it even worse. I could
Mm.
imagine. So imagine we are much more highly highly intelligent, more than the wolves, and we cannot be able to come to that place where we can create that for ourselves.
I think our intelligence or their intelligence is different,
Mm,
and they connect with what created them.
mm,
And it is such a clean, pure, my guess, clean, pure channel that there's no static. We
mm.
create static. Oh boy, there's so much traffic. Do you believe the heat? I forgot I have to do this. When do we have to leave? What were you saying? And so even when sometimes people are talking,
Mm.
we're talking in our head and we're not even listening
We're
to
not
what's being
listening.
presented. So when we clean our channel, when we get rid of the static, when we calm ourselves on the inside, we find that it gets calm on the outside.
Mm.
And when things get calm on the inside, it's reflected on the inside. And so it may be more challenging having 2 legs instead of 4 to create that calm situation.
Mm.
There are opportunities. We can take a room in our home or in our apartment or where we live
Yeah.
and create a what I would call a sacred space.
Mm.
Don't go there. No one goes there except to be quiet, to be
Yeah.
still, to do meditation, to do whatever it is that you like.
A place to retreat from the noise and the chaos.
Yeah, to unplug, to disconnect from the world, to
Mm.
disconnect from the dramas and traumas and everything else.
Mm.
And the other side of the coin is they don't run away from problems. And there was a monk that said a phrase that always caught my attention. And he said, sit with your suffering.
Mm.
Don't medicate it. Don't numb it. Don't run from it. Sit with it and feel it.
Yeah.
And is it as bad as what it sounds? Yeah, sometimes even worse. But when you get through that, not around it, not through that, you're never the same person. You're always a better version, happier version of this.
More resilient, stronger.
Yeah, the real you, not the you that's been injured or scarred.
Incredible.
The genuine, pure, perfect you. Yeah.
Yes.
We could pick up more on next time.
Yes.
Thank you all for listening. Sign up for our social media. There's a subscribe button somewhere below me here on this channel. Please do us a favor and hit that button so we can come up with more interesting and useful material for us. Thank you again for listening.